What's up, gamers? Your boy Beast Gamer Kuma here with my early review copy of Eternal Strands, which will be available on January 28th, 2025. I am currently playing on the Xbox Series X, and it will be available day one on Game Pass. So let's get right into this. This is going to be a spoiler-free review, so keep in mind I'm going to be focusing on some of the story, not going too much into it, and then diving into the game mechanics, because it is quite interesting. Eternal Strands takes place with your femme fatale character, your heroine, Bryn, who is with a caravan group trying to escape this deadly mist and trying to find the secrets of the veil. And as you go through this area, you find a particularly interesting robotic thing that can actually cast a shield around y'all to protect y'all from this evil mist. It's pretty cool animation starting off, and the best thing about this game that I like is that it's full voice acting going on. That's right. I love it when a game has great animation, full voice acting, and an intriguing story to make you follow.
Bryn will take over expeditions as our acting point.
You sure she's ready for all of this?
Bryn did face down an Ash Peak Drake and lived to tell the tale. I think we're in good hands.
Yes. I have every confidence that she will make a great point.
As long as we don't
But
all die.
enough of that. Let's get into the game mechanics itself, because this is a game that has you as the player find your own path. Take the time that you need, because the main basis of this game is to build your character up, to make them stronger, and to be able to take on the different elements of this world. That's right. You can spend hours in one area just farming to find ingredients, the type of skills that you need, and farming for different materials to build said weaponry. I found my first 3 base weaponries in the first area. You have your bow, your sword and shield, and a 2-handed weapon. It all comes in handy, so take your time in this area. But, you know, first time going around, you don't get much. You just get the basic tutorial on what to expect. And it does warn you that you need to build your character to tackle certain elements that involve. At first, I didn't understand what that meant until I went to the second area, and there was frost, and I was getting damaged. I couldn't really walk in the area, and I tried to be slick, because once I unlocked my fire bow, I tried to shoot the floor to make it, you know, more manageable, but the ice was so overwhelming it did not matter. Even when I took out certain ice sickles or ice areas that seemed like it was causing the ice to form, it did not matter. You need to dress for the occasion at times, and this also goes for the enemies that you face. Some will have frost damage, kinetic, or at some cases fire damage. Like I said, this was early on. Like I said, the strands will be your key to go into the areas. Once you unlock these waypoints, you can travel back, and it gives you a good dossier of the weather conditions, what boss is at that area. As long as you unlock enough of the planes to give you enough details before you go into the area, so you know what to bring with you in the combat. And there's many plethora of different enemies. You got these wolves, you got chameleons, poison lizards, you got giant robotic titans, you have dragons, you have mechanized warriors going around just to take you out, and some have shields that can suck up magic, which is quite interesting and makes you think twice. But sometimes there will be some enemies that your weapons are not strong enough to take out, which is going to make you to retreat and grind in certain areas until you can tackle that. Now, there is no game over screen at all. No. You just get pulled out of whatever danger that you get into before you die. Sadly, you will lose a lot of the stuff that you grinded for, so it gives you a choice. I'm up to 5 items now, so you got to choose exactly which 5 items you want to keep before you get sent back into that area. Yes, you will start back into the same area, but you will not replenish your flask that you have, your healing flask. So if you had abundance of 4, but then you used enough, you're going to go back to exactly what you had. So I would suggest going back to the camp, replenishing, and going back in. And yes, this does reset the enemies. Eternal Strands has somewhat of a Souls-like feel to it, but it also feels like Monster Hunter at the same time. I say Souls-like because, like I said, you go into a world, you have to be able to handle whatever hazards that world will have. Sometimes it will have frost hazards, sometimes it will be overheat in that area. Dress to, well, dress for the occasion, I would say. And then as you progress, get stronger, especially with your magic abilities, which you can have 9 slots for your magic, you can tackle each enemy differently. For example, when I took on Brenning Glasstail, this ice dragon, I used my fireball to cause area of effect damage, which, yes, it does cause that. Like, if there's a brush of a forest, thing like that, and Brennan was going through that, I can set the forest on fire and it could take fire damage for that. But that also means you're going to take damage too, so you got to be mindful of your surroundings as well. You can also jump on monsters for different attacks. If you got your bow equipped, that means that you only could do hand-to-hand combat attacks. Now, if you have your sword and shield equipped, you can just do sword damage, slashing, and stuff like that. But I highly recommend doing the bait and switch, playing the game of keep away if you can, because these monsters at first will take you out pretty quickly, unless you're, pretty smart to take them down. It's not that hard after you figure it out, especially with some of the robotic giants, which some have flame damage, but it's fairly easy. With Brenning Glasstail, you can jump on it, slash at its horn to break it, or its icicles on its back to get more stuff. Once you defeat the enemies, you have more ingredients to take with you back to the caravan. And yes, the caravan also get upgrades that you bring with your salvage that you can implement resources to build up for each area, especially for your forge, your magic, knowledge, and of course, Karen's caravan. That will also upgrade your ability to hold more flask and more stuff in your inventory. So be mindful. You can take some risk if you want to, but just so you know, you will lose the items that you carry if you if you mess up. It's a definitely learning experience, I do have to say. The main bad thing I have a problem with Eternal Strands is the fact that your magic can also hurt you. I had a situation where I had to send out like an ice wall or ice floor in a fire situation where there's this one bug enemy that causes fire damage, sets things on fire. And you can use your ice to make yourself a path to walk on across the flame area. But the ice was hurting me while I was walking on it. That's kind of annoying. And I tested out in other areas, and yes, your magic can hurt you. And that does suck. But enemies can also hurt each other. So I guess that's how they put the mechanics going down for it. It's weird, but I'll let it slide for now. But other than that, yeah, the exploration can get tasking, especially when you have the ability to hit up on the D-pad, and it's supposed to be a waypoint to give you an idea of which way to go, but it doesn't work all the time because, like the developer said, they want you to find your own linear path. I would like some inclination of where I need to go, especially for quests for some of my companions. But I get that's the main theme about it these day and age, that they want the player to actually find their own way, have their own little sandbox to play in. I get it. So it's not that big of a deal. Visually speaking, this game is beautiful. Like I said, sound design is great. Having the fact that they have full voice acting for each and every one of the characters is wonderful. Hearing the enemies come close or in the area before I know it, like when I fought the chameleon, that was scared the hell out of me because I was like, what is that sound? And the best place to fight was in the shallow water because I could see the footprints in the water of the lizard. So I knew exactly where to attack. Now, you can't lock on to them while they're invisible. That would be, that would be too easy, I know. But it actually worked out well, especially when I unlocked the frost sword and I hit them with the frost slash. Took them out pretty easy. So like I said, it's a whole learning curve, but that's all about you going back to build up your character so you can actually have a better advantage when you fight. Yes, exploration is great, climbing up walls. It has that Legend of Zelda feel to it. Sorry to say this, but yes, there are elements to this game that reminds me of the games Monster Hunter, Souls-likes, and of course, Breath of the Wild. When you have the climb mechanics, you have your stamina, you have your melee attacks, you have your magic attacks. All has a meter. So you got to be mindful of how you attack and make sure you don't get surrounded by enemies. These enemies in this game are ruthless. I swear they will strategically triangulate your position, especially when you fight the wolves. Instead of fighting you head on, they'll go on sideways and try to box you in, put you in a pickle situation. That's actually pretty crafty, especially with the bowmen, the bow droids that I want to call them. They run away from you when you try to get too close and do a melee attack, and they know when to dodge when you try to shoot them with your bow. And mind you, you don't have to worry about ammo when it comes to your bow. It's infinite except for the mana. You gotta watch out for your mana. Right now, with my fire bow, I could do about 3 shots before I have to wait to replenish my mana. But it's pretty cool. I like how the enemies work. They're not dumb. They're just annoying and relentless, and that's okay. That's fine. Final thoughts. Eternal Strands focuses on so many favorite genres where you have a hunting and grind mechanic that helps you adapt quickly. For me personally, it's all about upgrading Bryn and the caravan to see how powerful I can get, adapting to the world around me and discovering the enemies that I can farm. The grind is real and there is some trial and errors, but that is the fun of it. Discovering what you can do and what you can accomplish, there is no game over screen. So don't worry about it. The failure you face is when you get pulled out of danger to lose that farming you had, but it's okay. You'll go back in, refarm what you need, but make sure you pick the right stuff you want to keep. There is some room for improvement with some of the abilities, especially the fire minions you obtain. You can get lost trying to figure out the task you are asked by your companions, but it's all worth it in learning the terrain and obtaining new ingredients and weapons and armor. You are going to have a ton of replay value in finding the best ingredients to fit your needs. Don't worry, you can always dismantle what you do not want to, or reforge your equipment. There are upgrade options as well, as long as you have the right pieces for them. Beast's final score for Eternal Strands is a 4 out of 5 beastly paws. Eternal Strands will be out on January 28th, 2025 for the PlayStation 5, Epic Game Store, Windows via Steam, and Xbox Series X and S. It will be free on Game Pass day 1 as well, and a playable demo is available now on Steam. Thank you for checking out my review. Be sure to see my live playthrough on Twitch, which I have the link in below. And as always, gamers, be well, stay safe out there, make sure to explore the lands, and as always, be stout.